Hello, friends. Welcome back. Today, we are going to discuss another important topic, that is the origin of COVID 19, SARS CoV 2 coronavirus. Where did COVID 19 actually originate from? What was the cause of its genesis? Did it originate from Hunan's seafood market in Wuhan? Did it originate from the labs in Wuhan? All of these and many more questions might be lingering through the citizens of the world at some point in time. Well, let us discover the facts as to what could have caused this endemic to grow into a pandemic and take the world by storm. This is going to take a while, so please be patient to find out the facts. Let's go. The Wuhan seafood market was closed down on January 1st, 2020. Many of the early clusters of confirmed cases had been in the market, so officials feared that COVID 19 was linked to trade and wild animals. The market sold everything from snakes to birds to foxes and rabbits. The viruses most similar to the new coronavirus that causes COVID 19 are from bats that live in caves thousands miles away, but just because they are similar doesn't mean that they are the same. As of late April, experts don't have all the information they need to say where the virus started. The Chinese know the origin, and of course, they are not telling us or anybody else. With the absence of crucial evidence comes many theories. Did it come from nature? Which scientists say seems more likely. Another theory is that it is a bioweapon, which scientists say there is zero evidence for. And then there is another theory that both US intelligence and lawmakers are focusing on. That is, did the virus accidentally escape from a lab? Investigating through this route, there are at least two labs in Wuhan that research bat coronaviruses: the Wuhan Institute of Virology and the Wuhan branch of the Chinese Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. They have become the focal point of suspicion not only because of the work that they do, but because of their location. Both are close to the market. The Wuhan Institute of Virology is about 8 miles away, and the Wuhan branch of Chinese Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is just 300 yards. Safety concerns at both labs have come up in the recent years. For instance, if sources are to believe, there is a video recording showing one of the scientists in Wuhan Center of Disease Control and Prevention doing research on coronaviruses in bats while not wearing protective gear. Regardless, if researchers are in the field or in the lab, most bat coronaviruses scientists have identified aren't dangerous to humans. The coronavirus is not considered a major potential pathogen, disease producing organism, because they just don't grow very well in other species besides bats. That is why most labs that study bat coronaviruses do not require the highest level of safety protocols. The safety situation at the other lab is a different. The Wuhan Institute of Virology houses multiple labs, including one that has the highest level of biological safety protocols, Biosafety Level 4, BSL 4. It is designed to contain some of the world's most dangerous viruses. So, Biosafety Level 4 is the one you will see in films with the people in a suit and an air hose attached behind them, and they are completely enclosed and protected. When China first brought this lab online, it was with the explicit goal of studying coronaviruses. China wanted to set up its own laboratory after the SARS outbreak to study SARS relevant pathogens so that they could do it on their own in their territory without having to rely on international system. Shi Zhengling, aka China's Batwoman, is one of the world's experts on bat coronaviruses and is based at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. The work that they do in Wuhan Institute of Virology is to look for viruses in bats that they think could be the next pandemic. Exactly. They look out for the viruses that they think could be the next pandemic. That work and the higher safety protocols have led to suspicion that Ms. Zhengli was working with more dangerous bat coronaviruses, ones that could infect humans. Recent reports have come out that there were concerns being raised by US scientists and diplomats about the level of safety, training, and general protocols that the Institute was following, as well as concerns that it could lead to leakage. In 2018, there was a source that stated American officials voiced a variety of concerns about these labs, including a significant warning that there was a serious shortage of appropriately trained technicians and investigators. Without fail, every single BSL-4 lab in the US gets some type of safety violation. There is always a scope for a safety measure to be even better, and that is the purpose of conducting regular inspections to ensure that biosafety is as tight and secure as it can possibly be. But even if the safest labs things go wrong, that same source in 2018 that described the possible safety issues also warned about the dangerous nature of Ms. Zhengli's research. They stated that researchers also showed various SARS like coronaviruses can interact with ACE2, angiotensin converting enzyme 2, the human receptor identified for SARS coronavirus. This find strongly suggests that SARS like coronaviruses from bats can be transmitted to humans to cause SARS like diseases. Ms. Zhengli's team reported this in a 2017 paper, but that paper doesn't show these coronavirus samples were effective at infecting humans. And the virus that was used in the research was not the virus that causes COVID-19. In this, the underlying experiment that has raised concerns. Researchers at one point had a live virus that could infect a human cell. Just weeks into the outbreak, researchers from Ms. Zhengli's lab found the virus had 96% similarity with the bat coronavirus they had previously researched. And though these two viruses were pretty similar, that 4% change is the part that makes all the difference. The part of the virus that binds to the receptor on human cells for the SARS-CoV-2 is very different than the bat coronavirus. So, the 4% variance is the part that allows the animal virus to infect humans. Otherwise, it is interesting that it is not going to cause any outbreak in people. That means this coronavirus and other known bat coronaviruses could have picked up the features from just the right intermediary animal, allowing it to be able to jump to humans. In fact, this was what we will not be able to find out unless we can identify whether there is an intermediary species. We have to investigate the ancestors of SARS-CoV-2 to know exactly what type of adaptations it underwent in order to be able to infect humans. The most likely intermediary species or animals to have these carrier traits would be the family of rodents. Of course, the ancestral tree of bat coronaviruses in Miss Zengli's lab isn't the only bat coronavirus. Even Miss Zengli was initially concerned that her lab could have eventually caused the outbreak, but since then she said she has ruled out the possibility. Ms. Zengli, her team, and the Chinese government have adamantly denied that it could have come from this lab. China has been incredibly open, and probably because it is a scientific collaboration. The Chinese people are really proud of their science. They do good work, especially in virology. The evidence that a lab accident led to the release of the virus that causes COVID 19 is circumstantial, but speculation has heightened because of the actions of Chinese officials. First, before the Chinese government had even alerted the World Health Organization to the growing epidemic, scientists were told to destroy the early samples of the virus, according to one of the sources. After the Chinese government reported the virus to the WHO, officials quickly pointed to the seafood market as the source of the virus and shut it down. The Chinese government did acknowledge it began in Wuhan and put out the story of the wet market. It is an unusual specific attestation on the part of the Chinese government, which was very uncommon to their general way of operation, so as to frame someone or something. But many of the first known COVID 19 cases were not traceable to the Hunan seafood market. Reports confirm that the initial patient did not have any link to the wet market. The Chinese government reported that they found samples of the new coronavirus in the western end of the market that is known to house wildlife. But to confirm that, scientists would need specimens from the animals in the market. Until now, if sources are to believe, China has not divulged any information about what animals they tested from the market when they closed it, and of course, what results, if any, of those tests were. The only way to find an answer to this mystery is with a sample that matches both the virus and the first cluster of patients, which scientists have not been able to find. Even if there was a perfect match for the virus in one of these labs, without early patient samples, there is no way to be sure. The balance of scientific evidence strongly suggests the conclusion that the new coronavirus emerged from the nature, be it from the Wuhan market or somewhere else. Too many perfect coincidences would have had to take place for it to have escaped from a lab. But the Chinese government has not been willing or able to provide information that would clarify lingering questions about any possible role played by the Wuhan labs. It seems like such a remarkable coincidence that you have an outbreak of a coronavirus in theory from a bat in the same city where there is this high level BSL-4 lab, where not only are there foreign concerns about its safety, but there are even Chinese articles about the safety protocols not being sufficient. Obviously, there isn't any concrete evidence. It is all substantial, and it is a pretty remarkable issue where it raises unending questions. That is why intelligence agencies are still exploring the possibility, no matter how remote it may be, and even then it is unclear when or if we will ever know the origin story of this new virus that is causing so much death and economic turmoil around the globe. That being said, Australia is particularly grilling China and demanding transparency, stating that they want questions to be answered about the genesis of this virus so that it does not happen again. When you take into consideration the number of people killed, not just in Australia but worldwide, people, families, and loved ones rightly demand answers, and they want to know how this happened and be provided with some reassurances that it will not happen again next year or the year after. That is definitely a reasonable ask. The Chinese government can respond in any way they like, but that is not going to influence what the Australian government wants out of this process. They want to make sure that this does not happen again. However, the Chinese ambassador states that there could be economic ramifications for this demand of the Australians. The Australians are terming that as a hollow threat and are up for anything that is going to come their way. They expect that even to have good bilateral ties, honesty needs to be the foundation of it. There is devastation around the world because of the virus which originated out of Wuhan, and everyone needs to have an honest conversation, and China needs to partake in that discussion and investigation. The US President, Mr. Donald Trump, clearly states that the virus came out of China and it is not acceptable what happened. And now, what they are doing is to find out how it came out. We have all heard different forms and concepts as to how it came out, but we should have a concrete answer to that in the not too distant future, and that will determine a lot and how the relationship of US and China progresses. The US is looking at exactly from where it came from, how it came, who it came from, how it happened, separately and also scientifically. So, the US government claims that they are going to be able to find out. President Trump also further went on to say that he has personally seen evidence at this point that gives him a high degree of confidence that the Wuhan Institute of Virology was the origin of the virus. He also states that the World Health Organization should be ashamed of themselves for acting like a public relations agency for China and covering up the horrible mistakes that Chinese government had committed in handling this outbreak. Whatever it is, the US government is hell-bent on solving this mystery and getting China to speak out the truth. Well, hope you have found this video informative enough. Thank you for watching. Please do like, share and subscribe. And do not forget to press the bell icon to get notifications on my new videos. Please also do comment, and please state the topics on which you would like to hear me speak. Thank you once again. Tata.